Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. It's really awful weather here today, so I don't know where summer's gone. Other than that, I'm really good, thank you. Really good for a
Oh,
Monday. You?
bless you. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good myself. I'm very excited to see you in person again this Friday, may I
I
say?
know. Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be really, really wonderful to see you.
For anyone that might be watching live, or come on, give us just a quick lowdown before we talk about the event. What's happening this Friday for Jo in your world? I'd love to hear.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm running a here in the New Forest. I'm running a free kind of just networking get together thing for a bunch of people who have been on my journey really with me through particularly through the pandemic. Actually, I started a little group called #Connect Up, and we met monthly, and we really just got each other through. To be honest, most of us were business owners, not everybody, but most of us were business owners, and really tough times. So it kind of built a little community, and I work in collaboration with a local woodland, and we run team events there in the woods. So I'm
Nice.
using that venue to just do kind of some free networking there, and getting a gang of people together really to just sort of touch back in.
Cool,
And then I'm
cool.
going to do a little free workshop after that as well. So yeah, that's this Friday. If anyone's interested, drop me a note, and more than welcome to come if you're in the area. It'd be lovely to see you. So yeah, that's this week, and yeah, I get to see you as well because you're kind of local that day. So
I am.
extra treat. Yeah.
No, I'm really excited about it. So yes, check out connectup.business below. If you just follow Jo anyway, Jo's an amazing human being. So let's get into like today then. So this is the second time we've done this, Jo. So the event is coming up. So again, I popped it up at the beginning. Let me just, for anyone again that's live or watching this back, so 20th to the 21st of July, 2022, just a few weeks away now in the beautiful Dorset countryside. Jo and I are going to be your facilitators for the day, but we're going to be co-creating this event. And yeah, I'm just wondering where you're at with it. Like, what are you thinking about taking into the space, or what has your feelings and thoughts as we're within 4 weeks now, Jo? Just wondering where you are with it.
Yeah, well, you know, things keep coming up for me that I think, oh, I'm going to take that in. I think I've shared this before. It's probably quite boring, but my inner sort of my ongoing struggle, if you like, is balance, managing my boundaries, I suppose, etc. So there's quite a bit around that I'm going to be bringing in. I think what's interesting is I've had some sort of private chats with some people that are booked on to come, and everybody is considering what they're going to bring in, and it has some clarity around that. But actually, it's quite, if I say it's big, I don't mean it to anyone who's thinking, shall I come or not? There's no pressure, but it's quite kind of broad stuff around,
Hmm.
what do I want to be achieving this year, or why am I sort of really doubting myself at the moment? What's going on there? So there's quite a few bits coming in, which I think is really interesting, and the bit that I really love is the fact that everybody that's coming is also thinking about what they might be able to provide in,
Yeah.
which, as we know, is that sort of generative space idea that we don't really know what we're going to be doing, but I think everybody that's coming understands that actually there's an opportunity for them to bring something in as well as get something from. And that's the bit I really, really love. So I've also been putting some thought to, like, well, what else could I maybe bring in, not just as a facilitator, but is there some other stuff I might be able to bring in. But I think for me, it's going to be what I brought last time, and I've done lots and lots of work on it. And it was a game changer for me last year, I have to say. But it's almost the build on just living a bit more of a balanced life, really, just slowing down a bit. I think that's what I'll be bringing. What about you? Where are you at?
Mm. Thank you for asking back. It's really so I've had a bit of a sort of download really to put it the last 7 days. So as you know, as some people may know, I work in the chemicals industry. That's my day job, but I'm also looking to try and sort of support as a thinking partner and coach alongside that. And I've just had this real clarity, Jo, for me, but I'd love to bring this into the space in a few weeks around a program which I'm calling the corporate community campfire. And basically, it's about how do you bring together leaders within the chemicals industry, the up and downstream sectors from that, so food, pharma, oil, energy. So these really big industries that touch every part of humanity, but rarely do we really see any sort of modeling, shall I say, of vulnerability, of self-awareness, of connected understanding as to the impact of the industry. And no judgment in that, but it's like, I just want to create a space for these leaders to come together, a bit like what you and I are doing at the human development space, but doing it in a way for leaders around a very specific sector, and going, right, what would it be like if you had the CEO of an oil company with the chief sustainability officer of a food manufacturer and the head of diversity and inclusion from a global supply chain provider, for example, in the same space, sharing knowledge, insights, what's your challenges. So it's almost, like I say, very much what you and I co-create and hold in the human development space, but for a very specific sector where they don't tend, to my knowledge, to have that cross-sector, cross-function sharing of knowledge and insight and wisdom. So that's where I'm at, Jo. I'm quite excited about that.
Wow. Purpose-led, values-led kind of work, really, then, what I'm hearing. I think so. in a micro version of that, I think there is something for me about allowing sort of non-agendaed space for thinking in sort of corporate settings, and I tend to use that in the work that I do with teams. So kind of doing thinking rounds, checking in, trying to strip content out actually, and just ask some really amazing questions. Nice. So I think that kind of touches into what you're talking about. And I think the challenge for me is working with businesses, and then that you can throw that in a safe way, and they'll trust you and they'll go with it. And then actually, wow, the impact is amazing. And the feedback is, gosh, we just need to do more stuff together where we just think in a room, rather than kind of have all these agendaed meetings and all that kind of thing. But for me, I guess the challenge is, how do you almost spread that power and spread that message? Because the people that don't necessarily maybe get drawn to that at the moment, how do you get them interested, I suppose, in that? So there's some interesting conversations we can probably have, isn't there?
Yes, please. I'm like, Jo, right, that's one of the thinking sessions, please, for you and I as we go wandering in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And thank you, Stephanie, for popping along. So Stephanie, who is one of your good buddies, I'm looking forward to getting to know Stephanie, and Stephanie's also joining us, right?
Yes.
In a few weeks, which is exciting.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Lovely to see you, Steph. Yeah. Another one who literally a brilliant human who will bring so much into the space as well. So yeah, super. Yeah. Or not knowing. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's that message, isn't it? For some traditional hierarchical corporate type businesses, and not all of them at all, but for some I feel like I need to have the answer. And actually maybe in not having the answer, that's takes you to a different place, doesn't it? Or a better outcome or whatever.
Yeah, it's really interesting, that particular angle, Jo. I love you speaking to that. I was on a live stream earlier today, and it's amazing how that comes up. Like, we don't even realize that we think we should have the answer, but how it manifests itself as, information hoarding, or not showing a bit more of your true self, that you're afraid to say that thing because you'll be seen not to be perfect. Like, it's so nuanced, isn't it? The way we operate as a human being. But unless we do slow down, like in a space we're co-creating with all of these amazing humans, we can't really join those dots, I don't think. We just keep reacting to the thing outside of us, rather than going, oh, how can I respond more fully as a human, rather than just react to the task. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely. And actually, you're right. You find yourself going there, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
If you're, I'm just thinking, if I'm running a team event or something, and maybe there's a challenging question or whatever, my automatic place is I should be able to respond with a concrete answer to that. And actually, what I talk a lot about is not really, the power of not having that answer. So. It's like a habit. Is it a bit of imposter syndrome? Probably. Feeling that to be credible, you need to know the answer. Don't know. It's all that stuff probably playing through. So should we talk?
Let's talk practicals.
Should we talk a bit about what the 2 days in terms of, because I think we've both discussed a few times, Gary, haven't we, in terms of, because it is a bit different, and there's not really like it's not a panel of speakers and then a workshop A and a workshop B or whatever. It's quite difficult to explain, isn't it? Is it worth just painting a bit of a picture about what that might look like?
I think that'd be wonderful. Do you want to go with your? And I think this is a beautiful example, right? Like your vision of the picture. And I know we've had a couple of conversations, but I'd love for you to go first, if you will, as to how you're imagining it shaping up.
Yeah. Well, I think we had a moment last time, didn't we, of kind of, we said, oh, we'll just do some sort of open networking to start. And then that went on and on and on because the noise and the engagement was high and amazing. So I think it would be good to kind of start with that and just let everybody settle in and meet each other. And then I think in broad terms, and you'll probably build on this, Gary, but in broad terms, you know, it's kind of almost, I see it as almost chunks of time, and then options within those chunks to kind of do whatever we feel. So kind of starting off with maybe some thinking rounds or some sharing about what people are, where, how, you know, how they're turning up, what they're thinking about, what they're hoping to get, maybe also what they might want to offer in whatever order, and then almost just co-creating with our help. Okay, well, we've got an hour there and an hour there and an hour there. You know, is there more of a workshop and more of a group thing that can go on in that section? And or alongside that, you know, you could go off in a pair or a triad, or go off for some self-reflection in those amazing grounds. So you can kind of opt in and opt out depending on the topics. Nice. And chuck topics in. Yeah, build on that, because I'm wondering whether I've been a bit loose there.
No, I think you've been perfectly loose, right? Enough structure. That's one of the big things we learned, didn't we, last year? So for people watching this or listening back, this is the second time Jo and I have run this. We ran it in September 2021. And one of the big learnings for us was, whilst people appreciated the space, they appreciated not having this full agenda, it all laid out, we sort of lacked a bit of like signposting. And I think what you spoke to brilliantly just then is this idea that there will be a outline frame. So yeah, come together, connect, share what you might want to offer into the space, what you might want to get out of the 2 days together. And then there'll be these, as you say, these blocks of time. Then there'll be lunch, then there'll be blocks of time, then there'll be afternoon tea. And I think the way it's shaping up is really powerfully is that, yeah, so there will be an agenda, a loose agenda, but that's enough to make people feel safe and to know that there is a flow that we're following. But what happens in those chunks is down to us to co-create based on what we offer in on day one. And I think that feels, I'm almost not more excited, but I feel there's a different energy around that, because it is like, yeah, there's the holding, there's the space. Now what do you want to do with it, rather than where is the space, which maybe some people had that question about, Jo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of last time.
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting is if at the end of day 2, people say, actually, where is the space for tomorrow? And can we do it a bit differently? Then we will.
Yes.
You know,
great ad. Because
it's co-created, it will be what we all want it to be, kind of thing. But I do agree. I think giving a bit of a frame for the day is the learn really from last time. So, yeah. But you know, some of my magic moments were walking in the grounds with someone I maybe knew less well. So day 2, I was like, actually, I've not spent very much time with you, and going off for a walk and just sharing reflections from day 1, where we were at. Maybe somebody I knew less well from the 2 days, we were sort of challenging and making each other think in a slightly different way. So I remember those moments really clearly, as well as the kind of sessions that we kind of ran. So yeah,
that's a lovely ad. And I think because one of the other really cool things, wasn't it, just to make this a bit practical for people. So we went from having a space, and a lot of people, some knew each other, some people didn't know each other. That's the beauty of this space as well for this year. A couple of people know each other. There's a lot of people meeting for the first time. So if you are really curious about this, but you're like, oh, it might be clicky, like fair thing to consider or challenge. But please know it's not like that. It's not a club where everybody already knows each other. You know, it's very much an inclusive space for everyone to show up. But what I found really nice, so we had the vision boarding session with Marie, didn't we? There ended up being a yoga session with Ava. We had the laws of success with Annie, the thinking session with Jane Head Grant. We had the colour session with Kate Griffith. And all of this emerged, right, from that connection round that you spoke about at the beginning. So just to make it practical for people, that, you know, there will be something for you at the end of this, but it is a bit of a leap into the unknown, a little bit, just to come back to Stephanie's point. Yeah, you know, she's looking forward to not knowing. I'd invite you, if you've never ever been in a space without it being laid out, like top to bottom, maybe this is the time just to get a bit curious and have some fun. Like, it's a really safe space to go to do it. But like, if you're thinking about vulnerability, or you don't think you are vulnerable, or it could really value you as a leader to be more vulnerable because you know you're not connecting in a way that you'd like to, see this as a practice ground, right? Just playground, Jo, to some extent.
completely. Yeah, completely. Yeah, yeah. And, you know, as I say, the people, I don't know everybody, but I know some of them, and I know you know some of them. And then in the middle, there's some people, you know, we know less well, but it feels like it's the right people showing up. It's the people who kind of want to come in and, as I say, kind of give something, learn something, explore something. And it's our job, isn't it, Gary, to set that space as a safe one. That's what we're committed to doing. So, and I think anything in advance that makes people feel more comfortable walking in, you know, we're here to do that. So, you know, whatever anybody needs. And, you know, it's not about this, but it's worth saying, for the price that we're putting it on for, I think it's a safe experiment for people that aren't sure in every way, in that, you know, it's not a huge investment either.
Yeah, I think it's a really lovely ad. I'm just going to pop the screens up again. So yeah, we're talking about £200 all in for the 2 days, including lunch on both days. And there's optional accommodation on site as well. And again, I'm just popping this up again because this is some of the feedback that came from the gathering when we came together last year that Jo and I held. Again, just to give you some context and some sort of confidence, really, because, you know, when I look around, Jo, it's really interesting. I look at my corporate role, I look outside of it, you know, the conversations we have. I think there's actually way more of a yearning to be in these more creative, exploratory spaces, but we're so conditioned to follow the leader, literally, to, you know, to conform, to toe the party line, that this, if I'm being, like, for me as Gary, like, I see this as being a little bit disruptive and going, hey, people, like, come on, you really can leave those masks. You really can leave the story of who you're meant to be as mum, as a carer, as leader, as CEO, whatever you label yourself up as, and that might be helpful depending on your context, but you really don't need those for these 2 days, right? That was what's so beautiful last year.
Yeah, really, really good. I really can't wait. I can't believe it's kind of all of a sudden not very long away, you know, because it's been in the diary pretty much since last time, hasn't it? And it's all of a sudden it's nearly there. So yeah, just can't wait. Really can't wait.
Oh, well, look, we're just going to pop it up, and we'll leave you, lovely humans, and thank you, Steph, for joining us today. Check out eventbrite.co.uk. Just type in human development space. You'll find it in there. We're capped at a maximum of 30 people. Sometimes with these things, people come in a flurry in the last 4 weeks, like from today. Who knows? But as Jo said beautifully, the people that this will best serve will be the people that will be there at that time. And anything else from your side, Jo, that you want to leave anybody with as a final passing thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I think I've probably said everything. I'm going to get my proper thinking cap on actually about where I'm going, you know, what else I can bring, but also kind of maybe some of the questions I want to bring in. And yeah, just can't wait. I'm kind of almost on countdown now for the event itself. And it's the space. The space has got something a bit magic to it as well, which we haven't sort of mentioned. So I'm looking forward to just being in that space as well, with everybody that decides it's for them. So yeah, just on countdown now. But I get to see you Friday anyway.
Yay! So excited. I really am looking forward to seeing you. And I just want to also mention, you know, check out Jo's website again, connectup.business. If you want to see my personal website, it's hexochange.now.com. We are so excited. Like, if you feel it's the right thing for you, come along. If you've got any questions, drop Jo or I a note. You can find our details in the show notes on LinkedIn or YouTube, where we've gone live today. And yeah, I think we'll be doing this for as long as we possibly can, right? You know, we're not even talking about the location, but very quickly, it's 150 acres of woodland, lakes. It's an old country home that's part of the Jim Cronin Memorial Fund, which is next to Monkey World, down in Dorset, about 2 hours by train or car from London. Critical point, I shed some tears last year. I'm going to be honest before we jump off, because Shelley Fletcher, who's the CEO of the Jim Cronin Memorial Fund, she shared a very rich, deep, connected talk on why this charity that we are very blessed to use, why they do what they do. And it's all about rescuing primates from all around the world, our ancestors. And I think that's part of the energy, Jo, which is you really felt connected to their mission as to why we're even there, like connecting with one another and sort of learning and sharing was very much in line almost with why the fund, why they do their work, right, to some extent.
Yeah. It really, really was. Yeah, it's a magical place doing magical work, and I think it did sort of almost frame some of the thinking that we were all doing on those 2 days. But as you say, we're committed to doing this. We're going to do more of them. We're going to keep going, and we're going to keep sort of learning through the process and through the feedback that we get. So just can't wait to kind of do the next one and get going.
Amazing. Thank you, Jo. Thank
No
you,
worries.
Stephanie.
Thank
you, everyone. 20th, 21st of July, 2022. Go on. You know you want to. Take care, everyone. All the very best.